Our next topic now, we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of being a solo wax tech or, in the beauty industry, or franchise, which means you're trying to get your own salon. You're trying to have employees under you and all that stuff. So that's what this is going to be about.
Isn't this something that you should be discussing sometime later on, only because this is something to think about within the future? Because everyone starts off solo at the end of the day.
That honestly is a good question. And either path you take, you're going to start solo. The only thing is the plan you start with is the difference. So if you want to start solo and you know for a fact, okay, I'm just going to be solo for the next 5-10 years, and then I'm going to probably, hang it up, call it a day, take my money, move somewhere and whatever, live life, then that's one thing. But if you're like, okay, of course I have to start by myself, but I would love to have my own salon, have employees, open up another location. So you're starting both in solo, but it's definitely different paths. Now, to talk on that, when you're solo, everything is all about Alex. Alex the waxer, what Alex likes, Alex pick, Alex pick of the week, Alex favorite wax, Alex, everything is about Alex. Mm-hmm. Now, when your goal is to be a franchise, what's your name? Royal Wax. Okay. Yeah. So now everything is Royal Waxing. Everything. Royal Waxing's hours, Royal Waxing's prices, Royal Waxing's page. It has to be that. Now, Alex, it works inside of Royal Waxing, even though Alex owns it. So that's the difference between that. So the reason is now, if it's all about Alex, the day you want to get another employee, everyone's going to be like, who are you trying to put me with? I'm here for Alex. I'm not trying to be here for Diana. I've never seen her before. I don't know what she's like or whatever. So that's the danger of that, of making everything about you. So now if everything is Royal Waxing, it doesn't matter who they see. They're there for Royal Waxing. That's what they're there for. You could put them with someone that's never been on the page before. It doesn't matter because they're not there for a specific person. They're there for the name of the brand.
So you're saying the way how we advertise it at first
exactly
depends on what you want on the future.
Yeah, okay. That's what's going to help you later down the road. All right, now, pros and cons of being a solo and franchise. I'm going to start with solo. Okay, so number one is peace of mind. And what I mean by that is when you're there working, if you're busy, if you're not busy, you're by yourself. You don't have to worry about stress. You don't have to worry about a million different things and all that. You don't have people trying to call out, coming in late, have an attitude problem. None of that. It's literally just however you wake up in the morning is how you leave at the end of the day. And that's a peace of mind for everyone. Because, a lot of times, even though we shouldn't, we allow people to change our moods. So it's we can come in happy as hell, somebody gives us an attitude, and then we give one back, and now we're in a bad mood. So that's the peace of mind. All right, another pro, you make all the money. So the difference between you making all the money as a solo and you making all the money as a franchise is your expenses. So solo, you got to pay for your little supplies, you got to pay for your rent, you got to pay for your car, and then you keep the rest of the money. Mm-hmm. Now for the franchise, you got to pay everyone's salaries, you got to pay for everything, the rent and all that stuff, and then you keep the little 20-30% that's left of all the money. Now, of course, the more pro here is you make more money. So if you cap out around 150,000 as a solo, you can cap out in the million, $1 million, $2 million as a franchisee. So now you'll make about, 50, 70% profit as a solo, 30% profit as a franchisee, but you're making 10 times the money. So that's how you have to look at that. Now, cons for being solo. If you don't work, you don't make money. And I've told you this before, you're literally like a hamster on a wheel. As long as you're running on the wheel is moving. The moment you get off the wheel stops. And that's the same thing as in business. The moment you don't go into work, the moment you cancel because you're in a bad mood or you want to go to the beach or whatever, you don't make money for that day. So you're like, all right, if I was going to make $200 today, I could throw that out the window because I decided not to come in. So that's a major con about being solo. Now, the second thing is kind of the same. If you don't work, then you're not open. So if you don't come in, then Royal Waxing is now closed for the day. To focus more on the franchise part of it, on the pros, you can take time off and still make money. Of course, that's easy to know. If you decide you don't want to go in, you want to take time off, vacation, you get sick or whatever, you still have other employees who can still make you money. So you have a lot more flexibility, which now on the con side, besides a lot more expenses like we spoke about, it's the drama. And I know I say that to be funny, but it's true. When you work with more people, you work with a lot more personalities. And if you're someone who doesn't know how to adjust to different personalities, there's going to be a lot of friction. Now, that comes into play, which I probably should have added, management. Being a manager, if you do want to go the franchise route, is you have to know how to handle people. If someone responds to you being tough on them, then you have to be tough on them in certain situations. Like, come on, you messed up. Like, I need you to be better. Like, you got to step it up here. And they'll respond to that because they'll be like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. Like, let me do better. But then there's other people, if you do that too, they'll respond negatively and they'll be like, yo, why you coming at me crazy? Like, after everything I do for you, everything this and that, now you're going to come telling me I don't. So you got to know there's two different people, two different personalities, two different ways of coming at them. Now, that person who, to me, I feel like that person is the one who's self-motivated, where it's like you don't have to push them to do good. They do good on their own. So now you basically just got to like get out of their way. And instead of trying to come at them and come down on them, you kind of got to just nudge them a little like, oh, hey, just to let you know, you didn't close up yesterday. Like, just make sure you do that because if we don't want people robbing the place or whatever, like, ha. Instead of you coming at them like, yo, it's the third time this week you didn't close up. Because then that person's going to be like, yo, who you talking to? Like, so that's what I mean by you got to know who you're speaking to. And don't be, because I've known people like this. You've known people like this. They're a tough manager and they're just tough with everyone. And you're only going to get along with people who don't mind being tough on. Like, if they have that personality where they don't mind you come at them like that, then you guys are gel well. But now with everyone else, you're not gonna have chemistry. You're not gonna have a good work environment. Now, it doesn't mean to be fake. It just means to know how to handle different personalities. Soft with one person, hard with another, nice with another. It's just different. The next one, number 4, it's not where you start, it's how you start. Now, a lot of times when people start, they don't know. Should I start in a room? Should I start in a suite, like at Phoenix Suite and Salons? Should I start in a salon? Should I put down $20,000, $30,000 and open a salon and have 3 employees? And I had a conversation with someone about that. And I honestly asked him, I was like, for what? Like, what makes you think your first time on your own, you have to start in a salon with 3 employees? I was like, just explain that to me because I wasn't trying to be smart. Like you think you're that big or whatever. I was just like, no, I want to know your way of thinking. Like, why do you think you need to start that way? And I was like, if you start by yourself, you need to fill your own book up before you can fill up other people's books. If you first start with a salon with 3 employees, you're busy. Now you got 2 other people chilling and you're paying them to chill. So it's like, you're losing a lot of money just because you want to look good with the salon and a name and all that stuff. So that's why it's important. It's not where you start, it's how you start. Unless, for some reason, somehow you're married, you got a rich family, you can take $30,000, open a salon, hire somebody, then by all means, I'm not gonna tell you how to use your money, like do that. But if you're a solo and you're by yourself, you should just get into a room, build your clientele. Once you're so busy that you need someone else to cover the people you can't see, then you hire a second person. And then that's when from there you grow into a salon and all that. So don't think to start, you have to look flashy and all that stuff by having all this. Just start where you can start. That's my best advice for that.